Okay, so we're going to talk about what is successful fitness ministry and how to start a fitness ministry. So the very first thing that you need is a blueprint, obviously. And I want you to think about ministry in terms of building a house or building a fitness center. You always start with a blueprint. And this is what I'm hoping to give you as we go through this course is your blueprint. How does this look? How do we design it? How does it look starting at the foundation, building all the way up to the structure on the outside? So basically you have your foundation, your structure, and your decor. Now, when I say those three things, I divided them in that order because what happens a lot of times, not only in fitness ministry, but even in fitness organizations, is people start with the decorations first. Like they have all, they get the best, best design for their fitness room and it looks great and they have the best quotes and they look great as an instructor and they have all these frilly classes and wonderful, descriptions of classes and they just kind of start there and they forget that there's a whole foundation and structure that has to go in place before you get to that. You can't just dive in when you're starting a ministry per se, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. So basically the foundation in ministry is going to be built on a solid foundation, which is Christ. And that's what I want you to think about. There's two areas. The first is in Christ and the second is support. So let me talk to you a little bit about both of those. When we go back to that foundation, I had an opportunity to interview a construction worker in the field. Well, actually, he's not a worker. He actually manages a lot of construction. And I was asking him about when you go to build the foundation. I actually recorded him, but it ended up being so windy that you can't hear the interview as well. But I asked him, I said, so tell me, what's the most important part? When you're building a structure, apartment complex, house, tell me what is your most important thing, if you had to start thinking. And he said, the most important thing is something that you can't see. And I said, okay, what's that? And he said, it's called rhubarb, or rebarb, yes. And it's kind of like the steel stuff that you put actually into the foundation that helps hold the structure up. And he said, even though you can't see it, if you don't have rebarb, your whole structure, no matter how pretty it is going to start getting cracks in it, and the foundation's going to start cracking, and it's not going to survive. And no matter how great it looks on the outside. So that kind of gave me that, I guess that validation to really to move forward. Okay, the foundation is so important. It's the most important. What a lot of people do is skip that. That's my point, and I don't want cracks in your foundation. I want yours to survive because I've traveled around to a lot of fitness ministries and I've done a lot of damage control in churches that have started fitness ministries that aren't successful. They're kind of going under, they're going to be cut, the funding's going to be cut, and I've gone into a lot of them and had to kind of go back to, okay, this was really built on a rocky foundation. And we also know, in the Bible, that's a biblical principle. I mean, we all know the wise man built his house upon sand. You know that song? Yeah. And so, that's why I think it is so important to start with that foundation. And I have to kind of back everybody up. And everybody wants to look at the programs that they're programming. That's big. And the advertising that they're doing. And maybe even the people the community that they're trying to reach. Everybody wants to look at that first. But that's not what you look at first. You have to go back to that foundation. And what I have found a lot is when I look at the foundation, it's they didn't see the ministry as anything but another fitness facility out there. Even though it was ministry, they didn't understand the concept of Christianity and what that means, building a foundation on Christ. So when I say that, what that all encompasses, we're going to talk about that through this program. I'm not going to dive into all of that now, but we're going to talk about, what does that mean? What does a solid foundation mean? And I've had you in class before, and those of you that are listening, I'm very big into mind, body, and soul. And God talks about being healthy in all three areas. And I think that's part of that foundation, again, that we'll reiterate and talk about, that in the secular world, it's all about the physical and all about some of the emotional, but mostly the physical. And in a fitness ministry, you have to have that spiritual component in there to have a solid foundation, healthy mind, body, and soul. So that's part of the foundation. And there's other things that we're going to talk about, having a strong foundation. But I just want to make sure that as we get into this, and we'll spend the first part of fitness ministry talking about those principles, and you're going to be like, well, this isn't really helping me. I mean, I want to know how to advertise. I want to know how to get my classes going. I want to know how to make money doing this. Well, we're going to get to that. But I just want to make sure as we move forward that everybody knows how important the foundation is, and that's why I'm going to camp out on that during the first couple, maybe the first chapter or so. We're going to camp out on that. And then your second one is support. That is one of the most important things also, is getting support. And we're going to talk about how to get support for your ministry. If you go into a church or even into a facility outside your church, if you're going to do ministry and you don't have a good support system in place, then it's probably not going to be very viable ministry. So that you have to have a foundation of Christ and you have to get that support. And so we're going to also talk about, what does that mean? What does that support look like? Who are the leaders in the church that can offer that support? Who are, my friends or my network of people that will be able to support me through this? And that's going to be really important. It's going to be really, really important to have a cheerleader on your side that understands mind, body, and soul, that understands those principles, that you can go to and talk to and gets it and can really support you through that. So we'll talk about that. All right. And then after we talk about the foundation and the support, we'll go into the decor. How do we make this look pretty? What classes are popular now? What are the best types of classes to run? Who's going to be your market? Where are you at, depending where you're at in the country? How do you know how to make successful classes? How do you know which classes are going to go over the best? We're going to talk about all that. How do I advertise those? Should I have daycare? Should I not have daycare? That's a huge hot topic. How do I get music license? How do I get my choreography? So we'll talk about how to make it pretty, and that'll be kind of the third leg of fitness ministry. So again, that's going to involve your classes, your configuration, your advertising, and promotion. So as you go, you'll be doing this online, and we'll be doing it through Blackboard. If you have any questions once you get to Blackboard, you can always let me know, but there is a hotline that you can call, or a helpline, and I think it's open from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. So if you run across any glitches, you can't get into your course, you can't figure it out, you can always call them. But everything will be divided into sections, and we'll start with section 1. Today I'll upload your introduction in the first chapter of the course. You're actually going to print your workbook. So you'll see that you'll have your chapter. You can double click into there. That'll be your audio files or your video files. You'll have assignments, and sometimes you will have a PDF right there that's your workbook, and you'll need to print your workbook out and put it in a binder. Eventually, we'd like to have a workbook that's already put together, but since we're in our 4th revision, we're revising this as we go. So you want to print each section out every week and fill that in. They'll kind of line up with the videos. At some point, I'll hook you up with Adobe Connect. That's one of the software programs that we use. It's a free software program for you that you can actually have a couple times where I will be able to see you. You'll be able to see me on screen. For those of you that are out there taking this online all over the country, you'll be able to ask questions. You'll be able to even talk to Kylie here, who's my independent study today. But that'll give you an option, and I'll talk more about that later of how we can do that. So I want you to feel connected and a part of this class. And one thing that's very, very important about successful fitness ministry is that you have a network. And that's what I love about this program, is that we want to network with you and network you with other people in your state and all over that you can connect with and talk about ministry and get ideas from. And so that is the first lesson in successful fitness ministry.